Do Bash is back. We got something we're going to try this week. We're going to call it the hot seat. It's where one of us is going to ask a little trivia question, and the rest of us will try to answer it. And we're just going to take it from there. So up first this week, Daniel's going to shoot us with a question. We'll see who I can get it right. Have at it, Daniel.
So this week's hot seat question. This is geared more towards me, Matt, and Corky, but Travis, you may or may not know it. This is Halloween trivia.
He may surprise you.
That's right. Subject is the movie Halloween. Okay. And the question this week is, who was PJ Souls married to when they filmed the original Halloween in 1978?
Question.
Okay, question, go.
Who is PJ Souls?
Oh, God. She's Linda.
Oh, Linda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I really don't know. Matt, do you know?
I'm going to say John Carpenter.
Yeah, I bet you're wrong.
Quaid.
Matt, you got a guess?
Quaid.
Quaid?
Did you look it up?
How in the hell did I look it up? I was sitting here the whole time.
Who's Quaid?
What's his first name?
Dennis Quaid.
Well, ding, ding, ding. I need a bell.
I'm sitting here flossing my teeth with a thread I pulled off my hoodie, and he wants to know if I looked it up.
Dennis Quaid?
Dennis Quaid.
I never would have thought that.
And I'll tell you this, just another kind of random fact about that. There was some other actor. It was like Meg Ryan or somebody that she. No, it wasn't. It was who was the chick from Back to the Future? Marty McFly's.
Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson.
Yes.
So there was a woman that met her at a con one time, and she was talking to her, and she was asking her if she had ever watched Back to the Future. And PJ said no, because it had Leah Thompson in it. And at the time, her husband, which was Quaid, ended up having an affair with Leah Thompson. And she would no longer watch any of Leah Thompson's movies over that.
I'll watch all of them on repeat.
Endless loop.
Hey, her daughter's in Zombieland 2. That blonde-headed chick that was in the car, and they thought she was turning into a zombie. It was actually just she was allergic to peanuts or something.
You talking about Leah Thompson's daughter? Or
yeah, Leah Thompson's daughter. She's even hotter than her mama.
Cool.
Well, then.
All right, so that was hot seat question for the week, Matt, for the win.
Well, Matt, you get the win. I don't know what you get, but you get it, buddy.
Daniel knows what I get.
No. No.
Oh, my God. All right, well, let's get this cranking. This week, I like to get stuff stopped before it gets started, You
got to get this train wreck back on the track.
Yeah, I know. Let's get back on the rails. So we're going to talk about the cartoons we watched on Saturday mornings, or in Travis's case, never. But
that's right. I just got to see a lot of yardstick beatings from the wrong side.
I hate to hear that. But for the rest of us, we got to watch some sweet cartoons, and I guess I'll kick it off. My favorite cartoon I like to watch, many people may think it was Transformers, but it's actually He-Man, Masters of the Universe. Baby, praise God. It came out in 1983, ran to 1985. It had, it consisted of 2 seasons. It was 65 episodes per season. And to me, that was just awesome. I would sit in awe and watch that show every time it came on, man. Loved it.
All right, so I got something about He-Man, okay? Because I watched He-Man all the time when I was a kid. I remember in Oklahoma, right before I went to school, He-Man was on in the mornings through the weekday. So I don't remember it coming on Saturday mornings. But it's still an awesome cartoon, and I'd watch it today, man. It's cool.
Yeah, He-Man ruled, man. some of the characters they had were just awesome. Like, let's see, what was the skunk guy's name? You remember him? Was it Skunkor or something like that?
No, it was Stinkor.
Yeah,
Stinkor, man. And that
Yeah,
dude actually
Travis.
stunk. You know what I'm saying?
It really
And then
did.
Yeah, I mean, like they don't make toys like that anymore. So you could sit down and you could play with Stinkor, and you got Skeletor, one of the coolest characters ever invented. And of course, you know, He-Man and everybody that come along with him. But man, just the characters were great. I love the whole setting of it. Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain. Love that thing. I would like to sit down and watch some of it right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I didn't get to watch any of the cartoons, but I had every He-Man there was. I had every castle except for Eternia. So I'm pretty good on the trivia with that, but as far as watching the cartoon, I didn't get that.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I had, I probably didn't have every figure that was made, but I had close to every figure for Masters of the Universe ever made. Good guys and bad guys. I had Snake Mountain. I had Castle Grayskull. I did not have Hordak's Slime Pit.
I had it, bro.
Cave.
I had it.
You had a cave too.
Yeah, I didn't have those, but I did have the bad guys. I had Leech and Montana and.
Yeah, I remember Leech, man. That dude was out. Didn't he shoot water out of his mouth or something?
That was
Cobra Khan.
Dang,
Yeah,
man.
Leech, he just sucked to the wall. He had that big open mouth, and you push the button on his back, stuck him to the wall, let it loose, and suck him onto it.
Yeah, that's
Montana
awesome.
had a thing on his back. You pushed it up, and his eyes would pop out.
And Grizzlor's the other guy. He was the big furry guy. Looked like one of the critters, the movie.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff, man.
What was he? His name was Grizzlor.
Yeah, man. He was like a Sasquatch looking dude.
Yeah, he had fur all over him.
He looked like a chow. One of the dogs, like a chow. That's what he looked like.
He kind of did.
I don't remember that guy.
He looked like the left child of a Wookiee, like Chewbacca, and a chow.
Yeah. You got to look him up. Look him up, Court, because he's there. And Grizzlor.
Grizzlor. I will when I get a minute. But I think they got
and there was another one called Moloch. Remember him? He was the one that had he was a blue guy. He was weird looking. Morlock was his name.
No, that was one of the ones that I did not have.
I don't remember. Morlock. He had Juggernaut. What was that guy? He was kind of like, had like a beak and he had like some wings on his arms and stuff like that.
Pterodactyl.
I don't remember what his name was.
I don't remember a dude with a beak.
No, that was a chick. That she was on She-Ra.
Yeah.
She-Ra's my favorite.
Are you talking about the sorceress?
Yeah, that's who he's
that
talking about.
was Skeletor's woman there.
Oh,
that was Evil Lyn, bruh.
Evil Lyn.
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
And Taylor.
Get your facts straight, son.
Man, I'm trying.
All right, look here. So you had Tila, which was He-Man's woman. She was Man-at-Arms' daughter. You had Evil Lyn, which was Skeletor's woman. And then the sorceress actually played a dual role because the sorceress went back and forth between the He-Man episodes and the She-Ra episodes. The sorceress hung out in Castle Grayskull.
Hey, do you know who He-Man's daddy was?
No.
Sam
The
Elliott.
king.
He was the king of Eternia. But...
Yeah, his name was Ragnar, King Ragnar.
Okay.
And his mama was from Earth. She was actually an astronaut.
What?
Took a wrong turn, did she?
No, man. Well, yeah, but look that one up. Fact check me. But I'm pretty sure that I saw
He-Man's mama?
Yeah, it was the queen.
Huh.
Well then.
Didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure that I saw an episode where she came from Earth. But I don't know. I was also 3. So
You mean your recollection of 3's not very?
it gets a little fuzzy.
I don't see why. I mean, that's just crazy. Daniel, what was your favorite cartoon you thought about?
Well, all right. So I've been thinking about this for a long time, and probably my favorite for Saturday mornings is going to be a tie between Garfield and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, baby.
and we're going to talk about them both. But see, I can already tell you on a Saturday morning, 7 o'clock in the morning on WGN. That was channel 14 back then. I don't know what it is now, but at 7, Rocky and Bullwinkle show come on, and it ran for an hour up until 8, and then at 8, I flipped it over to whatever network had Camp Candy, and I watched Camp Candy. I watched, I think it was ABC, wasn't it?
It was NBC.
NBC, okay. So I watched Camp Candy, and I watched Captain N, the Game Master, and that was from 8 to 8:30 and 8:30 to 9, and then at 9 o'clock Garfield come on, and it ran for an hour. And then
I forgot all about Garfield, man. That's pretty good.
But see, it depends on what years that we're talking about, because all the lineups changed by the season, because you had a fall schedule and then you had a spring schedule. But my favorite was probably watching Garfield.
Garfield was awesome, man. What was the dog's name in Garfield? Opie?
Odie with a D.
Odie. Yeah, Odie. Yeah. Odie was a cool dude, man.
He was. I miss him.
He was an old soul.
We talk about him like again.
Matt, I got a feeling I know where you're going. Where are you going on Saturday morning?
You know, man. You know where I'm going. I'm going Rainbow Bright because, you know, you had Rainbow Bright, and you had Care Bears, man. No.
Strawberry shortcake.
Strawberry Shortcake.
My Little Pony.
My Little Pony, you know.
No, man, you can't be knocking She-Ra, man. I watched She-Ra.
Now, mine's Real Ghostbusters, because I remember when the Real Ghostbusters first come out Saturday mornings, and man, it was just it was just really cool being able to see that, being a fan of the movie, and then seeing an animated show from that, and it was just great. I mean, they had some really good classic episodes until they got really Slimer centric, because they were trying to get more kids to watch it. So as the seasons went on, it started focusing more on Slimer and his adventures. And I wasn't really a big fan of that. So that's when I kind of stopped watching. But you take the first 60 to 80 episodes, maybe 100 episodes of Real Ghostbusters, and man, they were some really good storylines in there.
Well, let me ask you something. Why did the characters look so different in the cartoon than they did in the movies? It's like was they just trying to make them cartoony, or do you know anything about that?
They were trying to do that because there's an episode in season 1 called Citizen Ghost, and it takes place, it's like, I think the 11th or 12th episode in the first season, and it's the day after, or it's like a few hours after they just defeated Gozer in the movie, and it talks about how they had to get rid of their suits because they had the radioactive stuff from Gozer on it. So they had to burn the suits, and they got new ones. And that's how the different suits came in to do the different personalities of Ghostbusters.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What makes Slimer so damn special that he don't get put in one of them cans there that they put the rest of the ghosts in?
Yeah.
Because Egon at one point wanted to experiment on Slimer because he was the only ghost that they could keep in captivity that they could experiment on to learn more from him, and he was okay with that.
Where did they catch Slimer at? I never know Slimer's origin story.
Yeah,
He was in that motel, right, in the first movie.
Yeah, he was at the Sedgwick. He was at the Sedgwick Hotel. He was at the Sedgwick.
So in the movie, though, they put him in the containment unit. In the cartoon, cartoon he was out.
But you got to think about this. He got busted out when they shut the containment. When the containment unit got so big, and the EPA in the movie came in with Walter Peck and shut it down, it busted. So all the ghosts came out.
Yeah.
So that's why Slimer was that. Because if you watch Citizen Ghost, you find out that Slimer had been hiding out in the fire at the fire hall.
Hey, he was scared to go anywhere else, wasn't he, old Slimer?
Which is weird because I really wish they would have used that episode as the very first episode of the series, because that way you can give some kind of context. But they put that one like right in the middle of the season, and I didn't understand it. But for me, that it was, I think, if I'm right, if I remember right, you don't have to check me, but I think it was the first Japanese main animated series to come to the United States.
It come out in '86, right?
Yeah,
Cartoon.
I think '86. Yeah, it came out in '86. But like I say, to me, Saturday mornings, that was probably my go-to. But like Daniel said, Camp Candy was a huge one, Captain N, because I remember Mario 3. The Mario 3 cartoon was great. Do y'all remember Gravedale High with Rick Moranis?
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a great one. It only lasted, I think, one season. I don't know if do you remember it, Corky?
I wasn't listening. What'd you say, bud?
I said, did you ever watch Gravedale High?
No. What was that about?
It was about Rick Moranis, and he ran a high school, and it was full of all the classic monsters.
Really?
Yeah.
No, never heard of that. Buddy.
Yeah, Dracula's kid was this cool guy, didn't he have like a leather jacket or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Like that. He was supposed to be the cool kid.
He had leather fangs too.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so let me ask you this. Okay, what's the earliest cartoon that you remember watching on a Saturday morning?
Would that be Rocky and Bullwinkle or Inspector Gadget?
Okay.
Tom and Jerry, man.
See, I remember Tom and Jerry coming on in the afternoons, but that was definitely an early one.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first ones I remember. I mean,
yeah.
Mel Blanc was all over the place.
Yeah. So Tom, I remember Tom and Jerry coming on when I lived in that little trailer that was right beside my mom, papa's house. Like it was, I probably wasn't maybe 3 years old or something. And I remember Tom and Jerry coming on, but I also remember distinctly watching Pac-Man, and Pac-Man ran sometime between 1982 through about 1984 or 1985. Pac-Man always come on Saturday mornings, I remember. And Richie Rich.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Richie Rich.
that's some early ones for me.
But
they just tried to make a cartoon out of everything, man. It didn't matter what it was.
Yeah, I mean they had cartoons out of movies. They had the Back to the Future cartoon.
Yeah, Beetlejuice. Did they make an Addams Family one too?
Oh yeah.
They had Beetlejuice. They had Addams Family. They had Back to the Future, Karate Kid. Yeah. Anything that they could get their hands on in that 80s to mid 90s explosion. If it was
even the WWF wrestlers had a cartoon.
Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, baby.
Yeah, baby.
And the A-Team, I think, had one.
Yeah, they had one.
Mr. T had one.
I remember having a A-Team coloring book when I was growing up.
Oh yeah.
I remember one of the first pictures I was coloring was them escaping from prison.
That's an awesome thing to teach a kid, how to color a picture of people escaping from prison.
That sounds very, very Inglewood, Tennessee to me.
But that was very 80s because everything went back in.
But you think about it, when you had these cartoons, not only did you have them based off the movie, then you had the toy line, and then you had cereals. So we were just inundated with so much stuff. Like you think about Transformers, you had the show, which tied into the toy line. Ghostbusters was the same way. Smurfs, I remember Smurfs was the same way because they had Smurf cereal and you had Smurf toys.
Hey, here's a cartoon that had some of the coolest toys too. Y'all remember Mask?
Yeah.
Where all them cars turned into something else. That's awesome.
That's about 1984. About 1984, 85. That was a good cartoon too.
I had some of them too.
I didn't have any of the action figures. Wasn't it that car that the doors open like the DeLorean and it could fly?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the Asian character. That was his car.
Yeah.
And then there was a transfer truck or something, wasn't there?
There was.
Yeah, and there was a 57 Chevy. That's the one I had. And then I think there was a Jeep.
Remember the green motorcycle? I think it was.
I don't remember it.
I had that one. That was the only
Loser.
I don't remember the green motorcycle.
Escaping from prison, coloring pictures, and motorcycles. You was inmate ready, son.
I was. I just needed a kitchen tattoo, and I'd have been all right.
A cool fact about He-Man is it was the only television show where the toys came out before the television show.
Wow.
The figures came out, and they came up with the idea to have a cartoon show to help boost the sale of the toys.
So the figures probably come out by the first series come out by 81, 82.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But I can't tell when the series actually come out. But the toys came first on that one. That's usually not how it goes at all. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and they used the Battle Cat. He was a toy that that toy company, they had made some kind of tiger or something, Jungle Jim or something, and he didn't sell. The toys didn't sell. They had an overabundance of them in the warehouse, so they painted him up like that and made him as Battle Cat.
Yeah, they've done that with a lot of toys, man. Like you could take like the bodies off toys, and they would seriously just paint them a different color.
Well, yeah, like Stinkor and Merman was the same guy, except Merman was green and yellow, and Stinkor was black and white.
Yeah.
So was Skeletor and He-Man. Same bodies. Skeletor was just blue, and He-Man was white.
Yeah. Moss Man kind of looked the same as it had the same body type too.
And he smelled too, like he smelled like Stinkor a little bit. He didn't stink, but he had a fragrance about him. He was a little gamey.
You remember Orko? He had like
I
a little
do remember Orko.
Yeah.
bullet. He just go all over the place.
That was another one that I didn't have, but
Yeah, I had him.
He was hard to find.
Dusty did have him, and we played with him a lot.
Did you guys watch any of the new animated series that came out on Netflix a few years ago?
Of He-Man?
Yeah.
I did not.
I watched the first episode. It was about 3:00 in the morning. I kept falling asleep, and I just kind of forgot about it.
It wasn't too good, and it failed miserably. And that's Kevin Smith actually done it, which surprised me because I figured he would do it justice. But it failed miserably. But they actually killed Orko in it, which I thought was pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a wasted character. He was a wasted character anyway. He was too short to be on the show.
Yeah.
So that one was the one where it started off, and He-Man and Skeletor was actually fighting in Castle Grayskull, and then like something happened.
He-Man wasn't even hardly in it, man. It's like I forget what happened now, but it all surrounded some chick on it.
It ended up being Evil Lynn. Evil Lynn had to go back and like help somebody. Like Triclops had his own kind of syndicate going.
Yeah.
Him and Trapjaw was hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah, I quit watching it. Hey,
hanging out at the club.
Yeah, wasn't there a guy with a lobster claw for a hand too?
Yeah,
that was Clawful.
Clawful.
God, what names, man? That's great.
You had Jitsu, and he had that golden hand that chopped, and
then Fisto was the hero version.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's what I don't understand. All right. There's a clear line between who's good guys and who is the bad guys. Why was Zodak allowed to go back and forth between good and bad? Like pick a side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was in the middle.
I kind of thought that was weird too. Because he wasn't really, he was kind of on his own side.
I think what that is that's that one loner that every school has. He was the loner. They wanted to relate to kids. That's what it was.
I guess.
They thought it all through, didn't they?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, a cartoon we haven't talked about yet is G.I. Joe.
That's what I was about to say. Let's get into some G.I. Joe, baby.
That one had the toy tie-ins like crazy, but there was one character I could never find. I could never find Megatron with Transformers. Never could find that toy.
Right.
I could never find Cobra Commander.
You had to order him. You couldn't just buy him. You had to order
I could never find him.
If it was the one with the shroud, you had to order him. But the regular one with just like the little motorcycle mask, you could find him. He was just hard to find.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I never did find either one of them. I ended up finding the it was several series down the road, about 1987, after he come out with that big metal suit with the big metal.
That was
Yeah.
Destro.
Yeah.
No, this was Cobra Commander. He looked different though. He had a
Yeah.
big silver. He had a big silver helmet.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Almost
don't
a
remember that.
You know who not only had Megatron, but they had also had Cobra Commander, and they had what was their big base called? Was it Terradome or something like that?
The
Was that
Technodrome.
No,
Technodrome?
Technodrome was Teenage Mutant
That's
Ninja
no,
Ninja
Turtles.
Turtles.
My bad. It was the uh
Anyhow, it was
something
huge.
drone.
You know how they had the USS Flag, that big aircraft carrier, and it was like 7 feet long in real life.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was Cobra's base, Terradome or whatever it was, man. It was like 4 feet around, and Mitchell had that thing, man. He had Megatron, he had Cobra Commander, he had the Terradome or whatever it was called. Man, that dude had all the toys, man. I'd go over and I'd be like, man, how you get all this crap? You ain't got no money or nothing. I don't see how you get all this crap.
Terradrome.
Terradrome.
Drome. Yeah.
Somebody else that was hard to find was Zartan. You couldn't hardly find him.
You know how much
I
money
found
he's
all the
worth now?
dreadnoughts.
Yeah. If you could get your hands on an original Zartan, big money, man. That dude's collectible because nobody can find him.
Yeah, I used to have him and Storm Shadow and Destro and Roadblock and Barbecue. I had him too.
So I had
Yeah.
Storm Shadow. I never could find Snake Eyes though.
No, I couldn't find Snake Eyes either.
Couldn't find Snake Eyes. I had Storm Shadow.
I had the new version of him where he was all in black and he had them 2 silver swords across his chest.
Yeah, that's the one I had. Yeah.
I had the one
Yeah.
that was in the white outfit. But then I never could find who was their demolition guy. Firefly. I never could find Firefly either.
Do you remember the first G.I. Joe you guys got? Because the first one I got ever, and it was for Christmas, was Beachhead.
The first G.I. Joe?
I'll never forget that because I got it for Christmas and I was like 6 or 7, and I opened it up and it was Beachhead.
Yeah, I remember the first G.I. Joe I got. The first one that I got was Ace because my Uncle Charlie bought me the Sky Striker for Christmas. That was the very first G.I. Joe anything that I had. It was that plane. It was the F-16 Tomcat or whatever it is. Yeah. And it came with Ace, and that was the very first one that I got.
I don't think I ever played with I mean, I had G.I. Joes, but I don't think I ever played with them much. Well, I was always a Transformer guy or a He-Man guy, you know.
That's kind of what I was talking about a little bit last week. I didn't know very many kids that we went to school with that had both. They were either into Transformers or they were into G.I. Joe. I didn't know very many that collected both.
Nah, except for Mitchell. You guys wouldn't believe the toys that dude had, man. It was insane, the toys he had, you know.
But I would actually I would watch the show, you know, I'd watch G.I. Joe after I'd watch the episode, and then I would just reenact it with the figures I had, and just, I think that was always really cool because, you know, when you watch the cartoons, especially like with Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, Transformers, then you got your toys if you had them, and then you could even mix it up where you had Transformers and Ninja Turtles and stuff like that, like do crossovers that we would do.
Yeah.
And I think our imagination got going because you would have to like make up stories and you'd have to make up, you know, plot lines and stuff like that, or try to do a full thing with the cartoon you just watched.
Listen, I want to talk about something real quick, and this is a cartoon, but it doesn't pertain to Saturday morning, but it's still a cartoon. The Transformers, the movie that came out, and I don't even know what year it came out, but it came out in theaters, and it was the whole "you got to touch," you know.
Yeah, 86, I believe.
Now listen, that whole movie was a marketing scheme from the toy maker to basically get people to buy more toys. So they basically had to get rid of the old toy line and introduce a new toy line.
Yeah.
And that's why Optimus Prime died in that movie, and so did Megatron, That way they could introduce Rodimus Prime and Galvatron, and so people would go out and buy more toys. But let's think about that for a minute. You have a toy line, and they're going to make a movie, and they didn't foreshadow any of this, coming up. They made a movie where kids go to the movie to watch a cool Transformers movie, and their hero gets killed in front of them. I can remember watching that movie, and I'm like, nah, man, Optimus Prime ain't dead. That dude, he can't die.
That's
And
real
bro,
world, son.
he died. Like, they killed Optimus Prime, and like it just destroyed people, man. And it was so bad they had to bring him back. Like 6 episodes into the next season.
They did the same thing with Superman. How do you start out in 1935? You've killed everybody. You can't be killed, and they kill him off in a comic book and have to bring him back.
They screwed up big time. Yeah, they sure did. And I remember when that comic book came out, we were in the 7th grade. I was sitting in Miss True's room, and everybody come in. They had the black bag. Whoever it was, these kids that, obviously I didn't get it. But some, I think like Travis Miller was one of them. There was a couple other kids, they had the comic come in a black bag, had the Superman symbol bleeding down on it.
Yeah.
Screw collecting it, we ripping it open, man. And we looking through
Dad has all those.
Yeah, and they straight up killed Superman. And they faced so much backlash from that. They come out with a Funeral for a Friend series, and they tried to, make it okay. And they tried to come out with the four different Supermen, and I don't know how all that played out, but yeah, they had to come out with a white bag edition and brought him back. And you can't be killing off people's beloved characters. Come on now.
They did that with Batman, remember? Because Bane broke Batman's back.
Yeah, they broke his back. But I'm gonna tell you something right now with Batman. When Bane broke his back, and isn't that when they come out with Batman 2000? That's when he was kind of like metaled up and stuff like that.
Well,
he had that new suit on.
That because they were trying to do something. They were trying to get away from Bruce Wayne and try to do something totally different, which I think they should have gone with. But Azrael was he had his own comic. He was like his own character, and he took over the mantle after Batman was out of commission. And he was pretty violent, which I like because I like the Frank Miller version of Batman because Batman had such a stigma on it. And then when Frank Miller took it back in the 80s when he wrote Dark Knight Returns, it was a lot more grittier Batman. And then after that, Batman became a little bit darker, and then Burton got it, and then it became a lot more darker.
Yeah.
But like you said, when you start killing off your heroes like that, whether it's in comic book or animated series, that messes you up as a kid because that's traumatic.
Dude, the thing about the Transformers movie is look, I remember it like it was yesterday. They, Transformers the movie, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, awesome, bro. So you go to the movies, you're sitting down with your Coke and your popcorn, and you're watching, you're going to go watch the Transformers movie on the big screen, right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, Optimus Prime gets killed.
Dude,
and it was awful. When he turned, like I said, his lights in his eyes go dark and the whole body, he turns black.
Yeah,
I'm like, is life even real right now? What just happened?
Hey, it was way overdue, man. He needed it. He deserved it. Always telling everybody roll out, tell him what to do. That dude needed to die.
So I tell you what,
it was awful, man. I tell you.
That's why they did not kill Duke in G.I. Joe the movie.
Yeah, Duke never died. See, Duke should have died, man. He ain't no robot or no superhero.
So the backlash from Transformers, they learned
he's a real American hero.
So if you'll remember, I guess Transformers probably come out in '86, and then they had G.I. Joe the movie that come out in about '87.
Yeah.
And Serpentor threw that snake.
Baby.
He threw the snake through Duke's chest, and Duke was supposed to die. But the backlash from Transformers with Optimus Prime dying was so bad that they ended up not doing that. So
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I actually looked something up online just the other day when I ended up going down a rabbit hole. But anyway,
what was the story behind Serpentor?
Well, he was a dude that Destro and Dr. Mindbender come up with. So they ended up getting DNA from all of these historical tyrants I know they had Vlad Dracula, and they had like who Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
It was an episode where they sent all the Cobra troops out to all these different graves and whatnot, and they got all this DNA from all these like historical tyrants. And Dr. Mindbender took that DNA and created Serpentor for the sole purpose of overthrowing Cobra Commander.
Wow,
But you know what
that's a pretty cool character.
You remember how you always had that power struggle between Destro and Cobra Commander. That really mirrors the power struggle between Megatron and Starscream.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you, when you watch Transformers the movie, and I don't know if it was just as a kid, but even if I've watched it as an adult, but when they're all floating through space after the big war's over and they go into Unicron and Unicron starts redeveloping everybody, that scene right there is creepy to me because you got Orson Welles' voice.
Yeah.
And there's just something creepy about that. It was
creepy music going at the same time too.
Yes. But I tell you what, the best thing that happened out of that movie were the Dinobots.
I love Grimlock, baby. Come on.
Dude, Grimlock was awesome, man.
You know what would have saved? You know what would have saved Optimus Prime's life if
What's
he'd have
that?
just listened to that little Indian guy and bought the extended warranty. He might have lived a little longer.
It was there for the take, and he didn't take it.
He's like, I'm not interested.
So
I'll say this though, when that was awesome when they took Megatron in there and what was the planet's name, Lord? I can't remember.
You talking about
The guy that turned Megatron into Galvatron.
Unicron.
When Unicron did, listen, Galvatron was bad, son. I'm telling you right now, that dude was bad.
Love Galvatron.
But who was the three jets that turned? I don't think Starscream got turned because he came back as a ghost later on.
Yeah, because you had Thundercracker was there. I can't. God, what was the other? Because you had Starscream, Thundercracker, and what was the third jet?
I can't remember.
Can't remember because there was three.
A Skywarp or something like that.
Skywarp might have been, but Starscream was always a prick. I mean, he just was always a prick. And I always liked watching him because I remember watching the show as a kid, and I was like, man, I just hate Starscream so much, but he was such a good character at the same time.
He was one of my favorites.
What was the name of that that cassette tape that turned into a dog?
That was Ravage.
Yeah, I used to have him when I was a kid.
That was Soundwave. Now, Soundwave was one of the coolest freaking characters to come out. He would eject them tapes, and you had Ravage, Laserbeak, and Rumble would come out of him. Now, Laserbeak was a prick because he turned into that pterodactyl kind of thing, and he would just fly around and spy on everybody and knock them out anytime something happened. So he wasn't nothing but a tattletale.
Yeah.
Freaking Rumble was a prick. He would run his mouth, and he would cause a earthquake and kill everybody because he was a little chump. And then Ravage was just mean. He would flip out and become like a panther, and he'd just go eat you up. But out of all the three cassettes that came out of Soundwave, freaking Laserbeak, man, that dude was a jerk. He would just go spy on people and just start trouble all the time. Man, I never could stand Laserbeak, man. I don't like him now.
Let me tell you another cartoon I really enjoyed, and it was.
What would he spy on them about? Like, hey man, they're over here doing some good guy shit. We got to do something. I mean, what was he watching them do?
Here's how it would go down. Megatron would be like, "Hey, yo, Soundwave, we need to find out what the Autobots is up to." And Soundwave would always be like, Laserbeak.
He's like, I got you, boo. Say less, fam.
Yeah. Then Laserbeak would go fly off, and then like the Autobots would just be over there minding their own business, cooking pancakes or something. And Laserbeak would like land on the mountain behind them, and he'd like little camera would come out, and he'd start recording them. And then like he'd go be like, yeah, man, they ain't doing nothing right now. Let's go attack them. So then they'd go attack the Autobots, and they're just trying to eat breakfast, man.
Just trying to have a good night. Good
man,
day.
screw Laserbeak, man. Chump.
He was a punk, man.
Yeah, he was.
I tell you a cartoon I remember really vividly, but it was a little bit later. I think it was, I want to say 91, 92, maybe even 93, was Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt
yeah.
Keeper. It was Tales from the Crypt Keeper.
I love that.
Hey, I got a special fact for that. I just read it last night.
Yep.
They took the eyes off of the original Chucky doll from Chucky Part 1, repurposed his eyes into the Crypt Keeper puppet for that TV show.
I seen that today. As a matter of fact, I think I might have sent that to the chat.
Maybe that's where I read it then, but
But
I wonder if it's true.
I don't know. I just happened to see it.
It's
But I
probably
thought that was cool. I didn't know that.
It's probably not, because why would they do that, you know?
You remember in Fright Night when Amy turned into that, like no, it was the bat. I think it was the bat that Jerry Danders turned into, some big monstrosity. That was actually on the set of Ghostbusters because they were both made by Columbia, and Ghostbusters didn't end up using it.
Really?
Fright Night, yeah.
That's cool.
The original Fright Night? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll check it out. I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, Corky. What else were other Fright Nights that going?
There is a remake that I like it too, but it don't have nothing on the original, you know.
But Tales from the Crypt Keeper was a really good. That was a really good cartoon. I remember back then. But I tell you what, too, Saturday mornings, Fox really got into it because they started getting the Marvel properties. They'd have Spider-Man, they would have the X-Men, and I always thought those were really good.
They come on later. They come on like 11 or 11:30. I remember watching Spider-Man a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, so all right, so they had Friday the 13th. You know, that was the first one. Why?
Really?
Why didn't they have the second one be called Saturday the 14th or something? You know what I mean?
What?
Go through the calendar.
Yeah, because it's got to be like, there ain't a Friday the 13th in every month. You know, I mean, are they like waiting 3 or 4 years in between these movies, or why can't it be Saturday the 14th, Sunday the 15th?
Part 2 through Part 4 took place over the same weekend.
Yeah.
So it actually was Saturday the 14th. So it would have fit.
And Sunday the 15th.
Yeah.
God,
Jason got killed on Sunday the 15th.
Yeah, see, I should have been producer back then. We wouldn't have been like final chapter, the next chapter, New Blood, Alien Blood. No, it'd have been Saturday the 14th.
Yeah.
Alien Blood.
Hey, there is a movie called Saturday the 14th, by the way.
It's called Revenge of Saturday the 14th. It's a comedy.
Yeah, it's got like some vampires and stuff.
Yeah, man. I can get on board with that.
But I think, you know, when you look at cartoons back, you know, growing, obviously they don't have them now, but I mean, man, you grow up from mid 80s to, and me and Daniel had talked about this before a long time ago. Being a kid from 85 to about 95, everything was great. The movies were better. The sports teams were better. The cartoons were better. The toys were better. The games were better, because you had all these properties that were, like we were talking about earlier tonight, they were all tied in. So you couldn't get away from everything. Like you had Transformer toys, you had the Transformer cartoons, you had the movies. So you really had just an inundation of all this really cool stuff to do.
Yeah,
that's where I was. Yeah, that's where I was kind of going with the whole Optimus Prime dying thing. Look at the storylines we had back in those days. Could you imagine if today they came out with a storyline where the kid's hero died right there in front of them? Lord, people would be canceling that show in a heartbeat, man. That would never fly today.
Blues Clues dies.
Yeah. Blues has Parvo.
Get out your handy dandy. Oh no, he didn't have his vaccinations.
Yeah, he didn't get his 7-in-1 shot.
Yeah, worms got him. Heartworms took out Blues Clues.
Yeah.
Well, going back to what you both were saying, they didn't have the technology like we have now. So everything's technical now. Like we're doing a podcast. Okay, if we were kids, and we had this kind of technology, I guess we'd have been doing a podcast when we were kids. But you know, they didn't have that back then. They had toys and toy lines. They don't have toys anymore, really. The kids don't play with toys anymore.
No, they really don't.
They don't.
They
I know. like my own kids, I tried to buy them some toys and whatnot, but everything was all video games at that point. So,
Yeah.
we spent most of our money on video games and stuff like that. Action figures is a thing of the past,
Yeah, they really are. They really
I
are.
still collect them though. Every time there's a He-Man line, I always buy all of them. Every time they come out new ones.
Did you
I'm-
buy the reissue of Castle Grayskull come out a couple years ago?
No, I haven't got it yet. They've got micro, like little bitty ones, like little Lego guys. Then they've got the regular size ones. Then they've got some that's like 7 to 8 inches. So they all have their own castles, and depending on what size they are, the prices are through the roof because now everybody that's our age is trying to buy them.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
and
saying?
that's the bullcrap thing about it. I remember back in the 1980s, a 5.5 inch tall He-Man, Master of the Universe, it cost like $5 or something. Well, now they're like what, 30,
Yeah.
30 or 40?
They're high. About 20 is about the cheapest you find one for. Sometimes you can find them cheap for $10-15. But yeah, I mean, I remember them in the 80s, the early 80s. It was like $2.10. They wasn't very much.
Yeah, the GI Joe men, just for an individual action figure, was anywhere between $1.99 to $2.99, depending
Yeah.
on where you bought it. And the He-Man was actually a little bit more. It seemed like they were closer to $5. But you go find like the NECA stuff that I have with the Jasons and I got the Universal Monsters. So all of that stuff is like $40.
Yeah, it's
Like,
insane, man.
yeah.
Oh, I got the Michael Myers guy. I found him $10 at Target, man.
That's
Like
awesome.
the big 10. He looks like he's probably about 10 inches tall. And he come with all the knives and the different hands and all that stuff.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
I found Freddie too. When I built Cassie's computer for her, I put him inside the tower, so the lights hit him or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I think now you look at toys now because I collect the Ghostbusters stuff, and you look at the way toys are now, they're geared toward the people our age because of the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
Because kids,
And they know we'll buy them too.
right?
Yeah.
Because if it's something like they did a thing. You remember when Afterlife came out? You had Ghost Egon and his granddaughter. They've
Yeah.
got a 2-pack that's got Ghost Egon and his granddaughter, and that's what I'm going to get. It's like $80, but
Golly, bum.
you can't find it. That's one of those ones I would not open. I open everything now because everything's so mass produced. It's not worth anything except for what you need. But you find something that's not sitting on a store shelf, don't open it because that's where the value is. Because they don't
Yeah.
mass that kind of stuff. But it's like there was somebody telling me one time that they were at a thrift store and they found a Starscream Generation 1 that was still in the pack. Was that you? Was
That was
telling
me. That was
Yeah.
me. I was at a drugstore in Etowah, that old one that's closed down now. Yeah, they had a brand new Starscream Gen 1 unopened in the box, and I left it sitting there, man. I sure did. I think it was $15.99.
God,
What a
Dude.
loser!
sad.
Dude, that was
I never will forget that, man.
You should
I'll
shame
go-
yourself.
Well, I'll probably, when I die, I'll still be mad about that. I will.
Can you imagine though finding Starscream Gen 1? That would have just been great.
Touch,
Hey,
baby.
we'll be beating you down in heaven, man. Be like, you remember that time I helped that old lady across the street? No, but I remember that time you left Starscream in Anderson's drugstore.
Yeah. You know what? I deserve it too, man. It's crazy.
But you look at cartoons back then, like I say, they're never going to make a resurgence because there's just not the market there anymore. But it's really cool to go back on YouTube and watch some of those old shows and stuff like that and kind of get that dopamine hit.
Well, see, the whole thing about the Saturday morning cartoons getting taken off was there was something that got pushed through the government
Yeah.
about some kind of education act or whatever, and you could only have
Really?
you could only have so many hours of cartoons that were not quote educational You only had so many hours that you could play that. So it wiped Saturday mornings off the map.
Yep.
So on top of taking away all the good lunches at school, they also took away Saturday morning cartoons.
They started, if you look at cartoons like Daniel was saying, you could tell there were some networks that had started pulling their stuff back earlier and earlier every year, it seemed like. Yeah. Because I know at one point CBS didn't even have hardly anything on past 9 o'clock.
Right. Is this a real thing? I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah,
really?
It was some kind of law, and it went into effect sometime around 1996.
What was it called? Does anybody know?
No, I was actually researching Saturday morning cartoons, and I was wanting to find out why you can't find them no more, and I happened to see that it was some kind of law that was passed. It was an children's education on television, whatever.
Yeah, no, he's right.
Man, that sucks.
Right. That's exactly what doomed them, because the federal government thought that since you got so many kids watching TV, that maybe you need to get them more educated about things. You would see a lot.
They failed because
they did.
They are not catching up to where we were.
I mean, in 1990. Congress passed the Children's Television Act, CTA, to increase educational and informational programs for children and limit advertising during children's shows. The CTA required networks to air at least 3 hours of kid-oriented program per week and limit ads to 10.5 minutes an hour. In 1996, the FCC strengthened these mandates with the Children's Programming Report, which added more guidelines. Wow, man, what a communist country, man.
So, and back in the, I guess I really start remembering cartoons from about 1986 through about 1994, 95, whenever I started working, and I was at work every freaking Saturday morning. But everything about Saturday morning was geared towards kids. Even the commercials, man. You had toy commercials that's pushing action figures and stuff. You had cereal. Everything was all about kids on Saturday morning.
Remember, they used to put the baseball cards in the cereal boxes. I mean, back then, you got toys in cereal boxes.
Yeah, what happened to that, man? It's like the free Lipton original, Daniel. Why can't you go to the store and get a 20-ounce drink and maybe win a free drink out of it, man? How cool was it when you open up that lid to get it'll say free 20-ounce. Come on, Coke, bring it back, baby. Pepsi, do it. Let's go. Do it. I challenge Coke or Pepsi to bring that back. Let's go with it, man.
Both.
Dude, those little caps saved my life one day in Nashville. I starved to death trying to be a rock star. I won 5 in a row, free 20 ounces. If it hadn't been for those, they'd have found me dead on the side of the road in that heat.
Hey, I had the same thing happen to me, man. Me and my buddy Spike was walking home one day, and he lived over in Clem Jones up in Athens. You heard me? And we'd been walking. I don't know what we was doing, but man, we was like, you seen the movies where people in the desert and they're crawling, and you see like a mirage in front of you. That's where we was, man. We was walking in front of this gas station, and he looks down, picks up a lid, and it said free 20-ounce on it. We was like, the Lord has saved us. So we go in there to get us a free 20-ounce, right? And the dude's like, you still got to pay tax. And we didn't have no money. And somebody standing in line was like, here, man, I got you. And he like gave them 14 cents or whatever it was so we could get a drink.
I tell you, my papaw, it was at Wilson's drugstore, and they had that Coke machine that was right outside Wilson's. And he said that he was so thirsty, and his little office was right across the street from that, his tax office. Yeah. And he said that he didn't have nothing, no drinks or anything in their little fridge in the tax office. So he walked across the street, and he just had whatever it was that it cost, like 50 cents or whatever. He said that's the only 50 cents that he had at the time. And he put the 50 cents in, got the can out, and he opened up the can, and $1 popped out. You remember where they had the dollar?
Yeah.
So he said he was so mad. He couldn't even buy a Coke.
I want this stupid $1. I want something to drink, man.
He said he only had the 50 cents, and it didn't have a dollar thing to where you could just put the $1 in.
Right.
And he opened
Yeah, I
it up and
remember
the
that.
dollar popped out.
Check this out.
Hey, you remember that?
Go ahead, Matt.
It's that same Coke machine. Remember, Corky? I think Danny, you was with us too. We used to shoot basketball across there at the bank, and there was one day me and Corky is like, man, I'd like to have something to drink. And me and Corky walked by, and he hit it in a free Coke can.
I forget what the trick was, but I could always get free drinks out of that thing, man.
So
I forget what I would do, but I could get them anytime I wanted a drink. I could about get it out of there.
Yeah,
That's
I
funny.
said, Corky, give me a Sprite, and he hit it, and a Sprite would come out.
Oh God.
We drank a lot from that machine.
Yeah, we did, boy. God, it was either that or go across the street to that church and drink out their water hose.
Yes.
Basketball goal sucked that they had in that bank parking lot, though. It had like 4 rims on it.
Bro, that sucker's still there.
No nets, just the rims.
No net.
There was nothing as worse as over at the First Baptist Church before they added on, and they had that really slick concrete.
Yeah.
God, you go up for a layup and you slide and bust your head wide open. That stuff was slick.
God, yeah, especially if it just rained or something.
Yes.
That one at the bank parking lot, that had so many rims on it. It was like shooting basketball at Dollywood. You know how hard it is to make a shot.
And it's also
Dollywood.
like 12 feet high. It's higher than any other rim out in the world.
Yeah, that was true too.
God.
That's all I do when I go to Dollywood. I stay over there throwing them football, shooting basketballs. I'm too delicate for roller coasters.
I went over there in front of the Tennessee Tornado. That one right there.
Yeah.
Where they sit there and they make fun of you while you're shooting. Go ahead, man.
I remember down at the park where they would that basketball goal was pulled down, and that's the only way Corky could dunk because it was like. And every time he would dunk it, it didn't have a net. So every time we'd dunk it, it'd go rolling down the hill, and he'd start cussing. And he'd go down. I said, well, then stop doing that.
Oh my God.
He dunks it like Shaquille O'Neal, and it goes all the way down. He goes, I'm not getting it. And we leave, and he just leaves the basketball. He leaves with it.
Screw that ball, man.
Walk to my house, still walking the 5 yards to go get the ball.
He had to walk over and get a Coke out of that Coke machine, man.
Yeah.
He's going to get you a free Coke, though, but he ain't going to get no basketball.
Hey, y'all remember Bill's? I remember the Coke machine that used to sit out in front of Bill's. We got to where we could reach our hand up in it and pull drinks out of it, too.
I remember doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all are the sole reason why Inglewood is bankrupt. The whole town.
Listen.
We want to put a Hardee's in here. No, we can't do it. Corky, Daniel, and Matt rogued us blind in the 90s.
Speaking of Bill's, man, I went into Bill's one night, man, and I ate a hot dog from Bill's, right? And I was going to spend the night with Jeremy Martin. Yeah, he had a hot dog. He had barbecue sandwich. He had all kinds of crap. But I got a hot dog in there, and I had to go spend the night at Jeremy Martin's house that night.
Oh my God!
So I'm over at Jeremy's house,
I'm sorry.
and I'm sitting in his bedroom, and I'm like, bro, I'm getting sick. He's like, nah, you ain't, man. Just sit there and whatever. I said, nah, man, I'm getting sick. And I took out of his room, and his mom and dad just had brand new carpet installed, white carpet. And it was Christmas time, so they had a Christmas tree up, right? Bro, I spewed from his bedroom all the way through the living room, all the way over their Christmas tree, their presents, everything, until I got to the bathroom. And I sit there for 2 hours till they had to take me home because we didn't have no phone at that time, so nobody could call my mom to come and get me.
You're a terrible person, man. Terrible person.
Man's Christmas tree.
Oh, it was awful, man. And his mom was so mad. She was like, I can't believe you. She said, she's yelling at Jeremy. She said, why'd you bring him here when he was sick? And dude,
it was Bill's did it.
She was in there yelling at his dad. She made him go all the way to Bilo to get a carpet cleaner. And this was at like 9 o'clock at night. And she's yelling, like, why would you bring him here sick? And I'm in his bathroom sitting there listening to all this, and I'm the sickest I've ever been in my life. I had food poisoning, like I should have died. And
Poisoning.
it was awful. She was like, I don't know why you bring him here with him sick like that. Mom, he wasn't sick.
Corky been tearing families apart since 1994.
Listen, and to this day, Jeremy won't never tell me that it's true, but I know that's why his mom and dad got divorced.
Because of that.
I caused that divorce, man. I know.
You puke on my tree, son. I'm ending it all. We're all
to
dead.
somebody's house and puke on their brand new wife.
It completely. Ruined their whole Christmas presents and everything, man.
You didn't ruin their Christmas presents. You ruined their Christmas.
And their childhood, man. What's wrong with you?
Ruined their lives, man.
It was.
And you left Starscream at Anderson's.
Oh, Corky, you suck.
The funniest thing this man ever did that I thought was great was I think it was 4th or 5th grade. He done that nunchuck presentation.
Oh my God.
Dude, when he started whipping himself with the nunchuck, that's what made me, dude, I love that. I still think of it.
First off, what school lets you get it in front of the class and work?
Inglewood School.
Yeah, Inglewood.
Always up to no good.
Throwing around the nunchuck wood in the class.
What kind of bullcrap school did we go to? We got kids working nunchucks in front of the class.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that those were like contraband weapons back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, what kid takes nunchucks to school to begin with?
They'd shoot that kid in the parking lot today if somebody get out of the car with some nunchucks.
Not only did they let me work them in front of the class, they marched me to each individual class and made me keep doing it.
Dude, he brought a whole sleeve of throwing stars.
They was having a big time watching you beat the hell out of yourself. This guy looks like he's Opus Dei out here.
Oh, wait. Why do I not distinctly remember this? Why do I not remember this?
Listen,
it was
You must have laid out that day.
I guess I did, because I would have laughed my ass off if I'd have seen that.
you know, the bad part about that is I remember it vividly. I was so poor, I couldn't buy nunchucks, right? That was a baby blue broomstick that was cut to make 2 nunchucks, and it was tied together with string.
Oh man. You almost had one of them telephones, man, the can to can with the string.
It was awful, man. Who let me do that, man? First off, they should have been like, why do you have nunchucks in your backpack?
You bring nunchucks to school. Why do you bring weapons to school, man?
Here's what happened. They heard about the whole Christmas fiasco, and you rolled up there with some nunchucks. They was like, we can't let him do this. I'm not getting divorced. We're going to let him do what he wants.
He'll puke all over us.
Puke all over everybody.
Yeah, nunchucks. He had throwing stars. I mean, this guy.
I thought I was a ninja. I thought I was going to move to Japan to become a ninja, man. That ain't no lie.
The Caucasus.
Yeah, I tell you, Corky, you may or may not remember this, but there was one day, I think it was 4th or 5th grade. The teacher, when we went out to recess, told you to come hang out with me during recess.
Listen.
And we sat up there against the fence, and you picked out these blades of grass, and you were talking about, man, you ever smoke grass?
Listen.
What the hell is this guy's problem?
Listen, I was never going to mention that, but since you brought it up, like,
and nobody liked me back then.
by no means was I some like popular kid in school, right? But I guess I had a little posse I was with, and I remember, I think it was Miss Brock or somebody like that.
It was your posse was the White Pythons. That was your posse.
Yeah, but she
Yes,
come in and she whispered in my ear and she said, "Hey, Daniel's over there. He don't."
Go ahead and say it, man. I know. I can take it.
He
I
ain't got
can
no
take it.
You're gonna take it. That's what.
I can take it.
Daniel ain't got no friends. Go hang out with me. I said, okay, I'm down. So I went over and I started hanging out with Daniel. But I guess it was cool, man, because we was friends ever since. But I never will forget. She come up and was whispering to me, and she said, "Go hang out with him. He ain't got no friends."
He's got no friends. I think Justin Lee was out that day.
Yeah, must have laid out. So he was just by himself.
Mom broke his leg.
And after that nunchuck display, she knew Corky needed some more friends.
Oh my
He run them all off.
This was like 4 years after the nunchuck display, man. It was crazy.
Oh, she still remembers. I'm sure.
If it was Miss Brock, it'd been fourth grade, and that sounds about right.
Yeah,
I didn't have no friends.
For some reason, Miss Brock liked me. I don't know what I done, but she liked me.
I had no friends, and so you picked the blade of grass, and you were talking about smoking grass.
What was I even smoking grass? Like, God.
I was like, why? So in my head, I'm going, well, that's cool that this dude is gonna come hang out with me, but why? Why is this guy walking up? Hey man,
why did we just go sit by the fence too?
Let's go sit by the fence and smoke some grass.
Out of 15 kids, he's the one she sent. Give me a break.
Oh God, that's great.
Yeah, I had to tear you away from your white python posse there for a little bit.
They got us together, our white python crew. They said, "Look, gangs are illegal in school. You guys have to disband." And they made us disband.
Well, especially on the mean streets of Inglewood. Come on.
Man, I tell you what, this is no kidding. I don't know how Etowah City was, but back in the early 90s, Inglewood School was a juvenile detention center. Okay?
God, yeah.
That school was a piece of crap, man.
Yeah, it was.
Matt, what was you going to say?
Do what?
What was you going to say? Second ago.
I remember when I met Corky, we had met over trading Nintendo games. I do distinctly remember him before that, and we got to talking. He had a Walkman on. We was on the playground, and I said, "What you listen to?" He said, "Some Two Live Crew."
In the fourth grade.
I hadn't heard of him. So he goes, "Here." And I heard it. And I was like, "Man, that's pretty funny. I like it, man."
God, what kid has Two Live Crew in the fourth grade, man?
I'm pretty sure your mom had insurance on you, man. She was just trying to get you killed.
I didn't have a chance thinking about it. I really didn't.
She was too busy taking you to the gates of hell whenever you was 3 years old.
Yeah.
Here's some nunchucks I made for you.
And you got to go watch Death. Man, I want to go watch movies with your mom and your grandma, man. That's some cool stuff, man.
Yeah, it was great.
I would get so mad at him because we'd be doing something, and we'd go down to Ed's where she was working.
Yeah.
And Corky, he was like, "Man, I'm thirsty," and I was like, "All right." He goes, "Let's go to Ed's. Mom will get us something."
Yeah.
So we'd go in there and we'd pick up whatever we want. He'd get up there at the counter, and she'd be like, "You ain't got no money." He would say, "I thought you was gonna pay for it," and she'd say, "With what?"
Hey.
Take it back.
You had to take it back?
I'm sure I did.
Yeah,
No, man, I tell you, because in grade school, me and Mitchell never got along, right? Okay.
You're right.
So, I remember the square dances down there that they had in town. All right. So
Yes.
for some reason, we all met up at this square dance, and it was me and you, and me and Corky and Matt and Mitchell, and we all went into Reedy's. And Mitchell had money. I didn't have no money. Hell, nobody had any money but him. And he walks in, and everybody starts getting a Coke, right? And I'm like, man, if I get a Coke, this dude's gonna beat me up. So I did get a Coke, and he goes, "No, man, what are you doing? Go ahead and get a Coke." And I was like, okay. So I started looking for the cheapest thing. God, because I didn't want him to beat me up no more.
Oh my God.
Man, I tell you what, they were Reedy hot dogs though.
Yeah, baby, praise God.
Oh yeah, they said over 1 million hot dogs sold. I wasn't even from Inglewood. I ate 1 million by
That's what I
myself.
said. That million was to me, yeah.
Yeah, I have never to this day eat a hot dog that good.
No,
Still,
closest you'll get around here is BJ's in Athens.
Yeah, BJ's in Athens is good.
it's close, but man. They was something that Reedy did.
Yeah.
Just made those so good.
You know
Hot
what?
dog was good.
My mom made them, and she still could never replicate it, and she knew how to make them. Yeah.
That's cool.
Hey, now listen, now Barry's and Etowah had good hot dogs too. That's the same place. It was right across the street from Etowah City School on 8th Street.
Oh yeah.
You could walk over there. If you could see over the counter, he'd sell you a pack of cigarettes. But I always got a hot dog and a Pepsi with my pack of cigarettes when I was a kid. It was good times. He'd sell. He would even sell them to you individually because he knew it was hard for kids to hide packs of cigarettes. He'd open a pack, say you one for a dime, and then inflation took over and it was a quarter. I bet that son bitch made $1 million just on individual cigarettes.
I bet he did too. I remember you telling me about that back in the day, man.
Yeah, man, that's how I got my smoking habit. Fed it.
Well, how I kept mine was because my mom smoked. Well, everybody in my family smoked.
Yeah.
But they would send me or my mom would send me to Ed's, and I would go into Ed's and I would say, hey, I'm gonna get this pack of Marlboro Light 100s for my mom, and they'd sell them to me, and then they would look out and see my mom sitting in the car, and so I'd get them, and we go give them to her, and then I got to where they trusted me, right? So I just go up there and get my own, but I had to smoke Marlboro Light 100s or else they'd be on to me. They'd be like, your mom didn't switch to Reds. What are you doing? So I had to smoke Marlboro Light 100s until I was almost 18.
Golly bum. That's crazy.
To Rocky Top and rob it before they'd come to school, and they were
man.
They were selling candy and cokes and stuff out of their backpacks.
That was me, baby. Come on.
Yeah, was that you?
Heck yeah, it was. That's how I paid for my lunch, baby.
Because the reason y'all got caught then was because Miss Carter was walking down one of the aisles and she kicked one of the guys' backpack and it
Yeah.
I know.
Now that candy fell out of it.
Dude, she opened that. She made one of you just open that up, and they was like 6 foot deep of full of candy, condoms, and everything else.
Yeah, ain't no dude. I go in there every morning and rob that place blind, and then go back to school and sell every bit of it.
You would do this?
I swear to God, I would. Yeah. I ain't proud of it. I ain't proud of it.
Sounds to me like you're going to hell, Corky.
Hey. Listen, I had to do what I had to do back in the day. You heard me?
But man, I'll never forget that day. I'm sitting there because we were doing English. We did an Edgar Allan Poe thing.
Annabelle Lee. We had to recite Annabelle Lee in the 7th grade.
Because Miss Carter was walking up and I don't know whose bag she hit. Might have been
Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis. Yep.
And she nearly fell. And she was like, that bag's a little heavy. And he goes, because I think it was him. He goes, okay. She goes, I know there ain't books in there. Let's open it up. And he started like getting all aggressive. Well, she finally made him open it. Man, I swear to God, the candy that was in there. He was filling the boxes.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Oh,
bunch of delinquents.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think that's a good way to end it tonight. I think we had a good show, man, and I'm looking forward to getting it back together with everybody next week. And I don't know what the topic is yet, but we'll figure it out this week.
I don't know how many cartoons we talked about tonight, but it was fun.
Hey, everything we talked about, like it stemmed from cartoons. You know, watch Go Rocky Top. That's just how you done it. Oh, but appreciate everybody listening in. We'll see you next week. Bye.